Hi, this is Crypto Ice, and today I want to talk about part 2 of the Federal Reserve crash course. If you remember last video, I talked about the Fed having two tricks basically, the first one being lowering interest rates. Well, in this video, I want to talk about how the Fed printing more money leads to inflation. Okay, so first, let's take a look at the U.S. debt clock. Currently, today, we are looking at 26.48 trillion, really $26.5 trillion. I just want you to take that in for a minute. Just take that in, okay? Back in 2013, we were at 17 trillion, okay? In 6 years, from 2013 to 2019, we went $4.5 trillion, okay? Well, from 2019 to current, we've done as much money printing in the last year as we did the previous 6 years, okay? And in the last 3 to 4 months, since this worldwide situation has started in March, $3 trillion, okay? So it just gives you a little perspective of, man, we are in hyper mode. The Fed is printing money like they don't even care, right? And in some ways, I don't think they even do, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. So I want to give an analogy of what I believe the Fed is doing right now that maybe will make sense to you. As I've told you many times, I am not a financial advisor, okay? This YouTube channel is about educational purposes. My goal and ambition is to help educate and raise awareness for my friends, family, community at large, because I don't believe enough people are talking about these things. So, anyways, my analogy is financial planning companies. Okay, now, don't get me wrong. There's plenty of financial planners out there that are some of the best people out there. I know many, okay? So this is not against them. This is in general. In general, you need to be very careful when you pick a financial advisor. If you have a financial planning company, you need to recognize that business is in the business of making money, okay? Like as altruistic as this financial planner might be, he has restrictions to its company, okay? The company tells this person what they can provide to the clients. This company's main objective is to get more assets under management. Okay, I'm going to give you an example. Robert Kiyosaki, in his book, Fake Money, Fake Teachers, Fake Assets, it's a really good book. He talks about how, he's made millions and millions of dollars in real estate, tax-free every year, right? And he had a friend come to him and say, hey, why don't you switch accounting firms? He's like, okay, I'll talk to your friend. So he talks to this friend from a national accounting firm, okay? Guy flies in from DC and just, all slicked up, everything. And he says, I've looked at your portfolio and I think you should move all of your money out of real estate, sell all of your real estate and put it into stocks, bonds, mutual funds. And Robert was just laughing, right? It's like, you got to be kidding me. I make millions of dollars tax-free coming in, passive income from real estate. You want me to sell all of it? And so he's talking to someone. He's like, well, does this guy even understand this? And he's like, yeah, he does understand it, but he doesn't make a commission off of your real estate holdings. And he's like, well, what does he make his money from? Assets under management. Okay, so just understand that, there are financial companies out there that do not have your best interest. Let's just say it how it is. They want assets under management. And it's kind of like the difference between a butcher and a dietitian, okay? Tony Robbins, in his book, Money Master the Game, talks about this short YouTube butcher versus the dietitian. And basically, when you go to the butcher and you say, what's for dinner? He's going to be like, meat. And he's not really concerned about your high blood pressure. He's just like, well, what meat is it going to be today, right? You go to your dietitian and you say, what's for dinner? The dietitian's going to be like, advise you what's best for your health, whether that be vegetables, meat, fish, seafood, okay? So think of your dietitian. Think of the butcher like your broker or mutual fund manager. They have a limited selection of what they can offer you, right? Meat's on the menu every day. As opposed to what's called a fiduciary or registered investment advisors. They are held to a legal standard where they cannot put the company's interests, they cannot put their own interests above the client's interests. Okay, many of these financial planning companies, they have what's called a suitability standard, where they just have to meet the general guidelines of trying to pursue your goals and objectives. And it doesn't really matter if the advisor or the client benefits more one or the other. So I think you get my point. You can get left holding the bag. And I think many people know what that's like, getting left holding the bag. Not to mention the fees. Well, that's not in this discussion, but my main point is, how does this compare to the Fed? Like I said in my last video, Federal Chairman Jerome Powell is not your friend. Okay? So what has he been doing with all this unlimited printing money that he's been doing in the last 3 to 4 months, $3 trillion? Well, I'll tell you what he hasn't been doing. He hasn't been leaving it in cash, which he knows is becoming less and less valuable at a very rapid rate. What he's doing is putting that printed money into companies, putting it into companies, corporate bonds, buying up all these corporations. You see, the Fed wants power and control. They want to take control over as many corporations as possible. And even corporations like Apple, who has like $50 billion in cash on the sideline, thanks to Cryptopolis. I'll leave a link for him below who mentioned this. Even Apple, why would they buy a corporate bonds from a company like Apple, who's obviously doing a lot better than a lot? Well, because they want to control corporations. They understand that we're ending one financial monetary system and we're going into a new financial monetary system. And so they're just printing and printing and printing. But again, my main point, they're not leaving that printed money in dollars so that it can lose value and they're left holding the bag. They're going to let the lower and middle class and the small business owners, who are the lifeblood of this country, they're going to let, of the U.S., they're going to let them hold the bag. So if the only way to beat the Fed at its own game is if you hedge your risk against inflation. I want to shout this from the rooftops. I want everyone to know, if there's anything you learn from any of my YouTube videos, is that you need to hedge your risk against inflation. I know I hear some people say, oh, they've been talking about this forever. Oh, we've been talking about inflation forever. I'm here to tell you, at some point, things have to come to a halt here. The Fed can't just print unlimited money without any consequences. Okay, at some point. And again, it's not what they say, it's what they do, right? You don't see the Fed holding on to their cash all over the world, right? No, they're putting it into assets. They're trying to, they know that the time of coming to pay the piper, as Brad Keim says, is coming for the Fed, okay? And so they're preparing for the hit. They're burying their money into assets instead of leaving it in cash. So you don't hear the Fed going to come out and tell you to do that, but that's what they're doing. You think maybe they know what's about to happen. So that's my plea is, I'm not a financial advisor, but I can speak my opinion that if there was something that I was to tell everyone I meet, it's that you need to hedge your risk against inflation. And especially in the fact that it doesn't take a lot of money with this bear market and how low things are. If you're able to have the vision of holding for 5 years, you can protect yourself in a significant way. So I hope that this maybe gave you a little insight into what the Fed is doing and how they're not afraid to leave you holding the bag, just like some financial advisors will leave you holding the bag. You put up 100% of the risk, you put up 100% of the money, right? But then they leave you high and dry with the profits. So, same thing with the Fed. They are not concerned about the lower and middle class. So they're not actually part of the government. People don't realize that the Fed is not part of the 3 branches of the government. There's no accountability there. They are looking for power and control. How many corporations can we own in this new financial world that's coming? So hope you like that. Please leave a like and subscribe if you like the content. And we'll talk to you again soon. Thank you.